Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing on this Thursday morning? Right? Good morning, Watermelon. Good morning, Cheeky. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so I'm on here now just to talk about the end of the third quarter, right? So we've been fasting for 30 days. Well, those that are doing the fast, they've been fasting for 30 days, right? We just came out of halftime. We had a game plan. We had everything put on the board, ready to go back out there and start the second half of the game, right? Or the race, or whatever you want to call your journey, right? And now we forgot one little integral detail, right? Even though we're winning, some of us are winning, we forgot that there's going to be some more defenses coming up towards us to stop us from going forward and making a basket, or stop us from scoring a touchdown in this quarter. We totally forgot about that, and it was unforeseen. So some of us, Bronze, good morning. Some of us came out unprepared, even though we had a vision, even though we had a game plan. Hey, we're gonna run the ball, we're gonna kill the clock, we're gonna do whatever, right? We forgot that. And for those of us that was trailing at halftime, we had to find a way. We wrote the game plan, but we forgot that their offense is going to be their defense, meaning their ground and pound is going to keep the ball away from us. It's going to kill the time. It's going to stop us from possessing the ball back once again. Right? We totally forgot about that part, right? And for those of us that had a tied game, we made a game plan, and we forgot that there's going to be a game plan to keep us on that same level, on that same teal, on that same format. The only difference with the tie is that, the opponent is going to try to take the lead at the same time, right? Even though, it's going to happen if we're up, they're going to defend us and try to score. Our job is to keep the ball away from them people, whether it's, by possessing the clock, slowing down the clock. We have to find a way to keep the score where it's at if we're winning. So a lot of us said, we may have hit that wall. We may have seen this thing coming, but we didn't plan for it well, right? That's what happens when you come out of the halftime. We got all the energy. We got this half. We got it. But somebody may have hit the wall. Somebody may have turned the ball over. Somebody may have fumbled the ball, right? Now you gotta hurry up and get back on defense. We got to get back on the defensive end of this thing, right? We got to make sure that this fast is working in our favor. We got to make sure that we maintain the lead that we have if we're leading, right? We got to do everything we can. We got to put the wall up. We got to put the defense up to where they can't score. Our goal is to stop them from scoring. That's our goal right now. In the third quarter, we can't let momentum shift to their side. their side is the one that don't want you to progress, the ones that don't want you to flourish, the ones that don't want you to win, whether that's within you, in your personal battle, trying to find what you need to find in you, or even if it's somebody outside of you, right? It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a lover, it could be whomever, right? They could become your opponent. They could sub in the game and try to stop you from getting to your goal. But at the end of this third quarter, we must maintain if we're winning, we must maintain our lead. We must maintain it with sufficient effort. Efficient effort, not sufficient, efficient work. We got to be efficient in what we're doing. We got to be efficient in moving the ball down the field. We got to be efficient with our touches of the basketball. We got to be efficient with how much longer in this race we have to go. We got to be efficient. Y'all already know what I say. The race is never given to the swift nor the strong, but to those who endure to the end, right? So now as like I said, even though in a race, there's no clock, there's mileage. That, whether it's a half K or a full marathon, there's paces to it. Let's just say in a marathon, you 3/4 of a way. You paced yourself to be in the lead. Did you want to extend your lead before you get to the final quarter of the race? Or you just want to pace yourself, but you don't want to be last, because if you last, that means you're going to exert more energy. That means you must know your opponent, because you're going to have to run like never before in the final quarter, the final leg of the race. And if we're trailing in the other sports, we're going to have to do more. We're going to have to blitz more. We're going to have to blitz the opponent. We're going to have to blitz them like never before, just to try to get the ball back, so they don't run the clock out of the quarter, so they don't, keep their foot over our head, or our neck rather. We gotta keep fighting. The fight is not yours. And even though sometimes it's easier to submit to the loss, you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose this quarter. It's like in a war. This is like a battle. But I choose sports because sports is more equivalent to a lot of our lives, because there's quarters to it. There's halves to it. We already did one half. Now we're working on the second half. We're 1/4 of a half away, right? So now we got to make sure that they're not just trying to, keep the ball from us. We got to blitz it. We got to make sure there's enough time for us to get back into the game, because we only got 4 quarters and we're at the end of the third. Did we pull up? Did we make the game closer? If we're behind by a lot, did we make in basketball, if you're losing, you're trying to lose by in a quarter, going into the fourth quarter, you're trying to be down by 10 points, because you got enough time to overcome the 10 points. It's very hard to come back now in the fourth quarter, coming back from a 25-point lead, right? It's hard to really catch a person when they're on pace of winning by 20 lengths. It's hard to catch somebody when the score is 28-3. Only if you're the Atlanta Falcons. If you're an Atlanta Falcon fan, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's hard to see that deficit get lost. You got to do some work if we're trailing. If we're trailing, we got to work hard. We got to do things like never before. What are we not giving? What effort are we not giving to overcome this deficit? Are we holding back? Are we pulling our punches to get to the deficit? The goal is to win. But if we're down by so much, that means we was underprepared in the first place. Maybe it's not for us to, I never want to discourage somebody and say maybe it's not for us, right? So now we got to go back to the drawing board. There's timeouts being called. We're trying to stop the momentum. We need to build our momentum and kill theirs. We need to stagnate their momentum. Stagnation kills, but we need to up our game if we're in a deficit, right? We need to be the best us that we can be. You can't keep lulling and saying, woe is me. But in a fast, it's really about you. So now you got to make it, what do I need to do to overcome this deficit? Do I need to pull back some more? Do I need to up my game up even more? What do I need to do to overcome this deficit? I'm a long way away. At the end of the third quarter, it looks like the finish line is further than it was in the first quarter. Why? Because we've been punched in the gut. We've been turning the ball over. We didn't care about our possessions. We didn't care what we really had. We thought we could just turn it on. Like in life, we could just turn on switches. We could turn on the love switch. We could turn on the energy switch. Nah, we can't do that. You can't do that when it's in real life, because in real life, things happen. Things will make you make sure it don't come on. A fuse might blow in real life, right? So we got to make sure that our things are in order. We got to make sure we work hard now. Now, going into the fourth quarter, if that deficit is that big, you got to work 3 or 4 times as hard. And all they got to do is just sit there and make sure that you don't score. Right? Now you got to come up with a better game plan. We're losing, and we're losing by a lot. We're not winning. We're not even getting to the red zone. We ain't even touching their side of the field. Now we got to come up with a new plan. How are we going to win? How are we going to get to that side? How are we going to stop them? It's a lot of work. But guess what? It's not impossible. God has given you a strength deep inside of you to allow you to say, you know what? I can overcome anything. I can overcome the odds. I can overcome 28-3. I got 15 minutes in the fourth quarter to do it. But now at the end of the third quarter, we got to come up with the plan like never before. What did we observe in that third quarter that we could use, we could manipulate, we can use to our advantage? That's for those that are losing. Now you got to sit there and be observant. Now, if you're winning, you still got to be observant, right? Okay, what am I doing? Like, how do I keep the ball away from them? How do I make sure when it's time to get some points, we get some points and put some defense on them? How we do that? If we increase the lead, we can't just sit back and just act like, well, we only got 12 minutes, everything's okay. No, they're about to blitz you too. There's a blitz going on either way, good or bad, for you or against you. You got to prepare yourself for these things. You got to understand that there's something else that's getting ready to happen in your life to where either you're going to overcome it or it's going to conquer you. There is no time for stagnation. Now, if the score is tied, if it's still the same thing, you may give up on yourself. You may say, you know what, I'll match this person blow for blow. But guess what? If you got to understand, you might got that sneaky punch inside of you. You might got that one drive, that one possession of the ball that you can overcome in this fourth quarter. Prepare for it. Be ready for it. Things may not be going the way you want it to go. Prepare that you're going to win anyhow. You may be down by 24 points. You may be down by 30 points in basketball. Prepare that you're going to outscore them in the fourth quarter. You got to prepare it. I know things ain't look good when you was trailing. You've been trailing the first 3 quarters. But in all sports, in all life, momentum can change and it will change. It's your effort. If you putting your all to it, you got to believe that I can overcome this thing. Right? But you got to understand there's another person involved. If you do your part, the rest is going to be done for you. I always say, if you do your best, God will do the rest. Even though it don't look like that sometimes, even though it don't feel like that sometimes, you got to do your best. Because if you're winning, you did your best, and now you can't be complacent. Man, I did all that. Them niggas, they suck. They ain't gonna catch me. I can be complacent. Nah, it's the fourth quarter. Anything come out now. It's a must-win quarter for everybody. Either way, you got to win the fourth quarter. So you got to go into the fourth quarter with that mindset. I must win this fourth quarter definitely. You could slag off. You could be even kill for the first 3 quarters. But in this fourth quarter coming up, you got to be prepared for it. You got to be ready because you don't know what's coming. Your vision must not be blurred. You must be able to see that corner blitz that's coming, or you must see that double team coming from the sideline. You got to see all of these things because in this fourth quarter, winner takes all. And if I hope your goal is to win during this fast, I really do. But if you ain't planning on winning the fast, what's the point of doing this? If you're not trying to improve yourself, what's the point of doing this? I always say if I'm not helping anybody, what's the purpose of me doing this? If the needle is not moving for anybody, what am I doing this for? It doesn't make sense to there is, guess what? There is no tie in this thing right here. It ain't. Either you're gonna be great or you're not. You're gonna be elevated or you're gonna be not elevated. Either you're gonna improve or you're gonna change for the worse. There is no tie in this. Don't play for the tie. That don't help your percentages no way, shape, or form. We're either going for the win or we're gonna lose. You got to understand this fourth quarter is the most important part. This is it. Let's prepare for it. Let's go. Let's have a conversation. Sometimes we're out coaching ourselves. Sometimes we're overdoing ourselves. Sometimes we get in our own way, even during a fast. Even when the vision is being cleared out for you, even when you can see things as clear as day, you're gonna put something in the way. So where you, all right, your pride your ego might get in the way. Nah, they ain't got this. I got them. Your emotional problem may come in like, you know what? I might as well quit because atmosphere. Good morning. I might as well quit because I'm not gonna catch them. It's too late. I don't have much time. You make your time. You make the effort. You determine if you want to lose. Whether you see it or not, you got to understand you're going to win during that next quarter. This is real. This is the important part. This is the important part of the game. If you know you got to defend hard, you defend hard. You go for the steals. You go for the fumbles. You go for the interceptions. You block that punch that's trying to knock you out. It's time. It really is time for you to do all of these things. Because if you don't do it, you're going to lose anyway. So you have nothing to lose. What they say, the most dangerous animal is the animal that's up against a wall. That's the same way for a human being too. If that person ain't got nothing to lose, he will do any or she will do any and everything to make sure that they come out victorious. You got to defend against that. You got to defend against that because you're winning and they are going to attack you. And if you're losing, you're going to have to be that attacker to make sure that they don't get up off the wall. You keep them on the ropes. You hit them till they can't breathe anymore. You defend them like never before. You keep them. They get 3 and outs, you get more time. You turn the ball over, you still got time. You grab the rebound, you push it. You speed up the pace in that sport. You speed up the pace in any sport when you're losing, but you know time is of the essence. Start today. You're losing, but it doesn't mean that you lost. It just means that you're behind right now. You still got a fourth quarter to make all of these things occur. And if you're winning, you can't just be, let's just run the ball 3 plays and that's an extra 2 minutes and now they got to come back. No, they're trying to score. They're trying to strip the ball from you. They're trying to preserve time to catch up with you as well. Time is of the essence. If the time wasn't of the essence, we not doing the right thing in sports or in life. We got to work on today. Shout out to the Word. Word said, you got to work on today. You can't work on yesterday. All you can do is use the pain from yesterday and make sure you don't go through it again. The battle, they say the battle is not yours, but in this time, in this game, it is. This is your battle. Because inside of you, there may be 2 entities fighting. Good versus evil. God versus the devil. However you want to do it. But whatever's going on in your life, You're trying to win. It just depends on who you trying to win for. But the win is a win, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You got to know that, hey, I still got a quarter left. There's a quarter remaining. Maybe it's time for me to step up my defense. Maybe it's time to make sure I don't turn the ball over. Maybe it's time that I make sure I guard my ribs, my face, so I don't get knocked down or knocked out before this final round. Maybe I better make sure that my wind is up to where at the last foot of this race, nobody can catch up to me. Be strong. You may catch a cramp. That can hurt you. But if you're doing everything that you need to do, you should be ready for the fourth quarter. This third quarter could have been crucial for a lot of people. You probably didn't see anything. You probably didn't even expect them to come out the way that they came out. They bombarded you. They blitzed you. They did everything possible for you not to have the possession of this quarter. They took the time of possession from you in this quarter. And just because you winning, that don't mean you should allow this to happen. You still gotta have momentum on your side. Momentum is a key in this thing. If you feel like you can just win because you up by 30 points, they're gonna catch you. And if you feel like you're gonna give up because you're losing, you already lost. You might as well stay down. If you punch you in the gut, you might as well stay down. But quitters don't win. It's not time for you to quit. You still got one more quarter left, you guys. If it ain't working out, now it's time for you to say, yo, let's give it everything we got. We've been down so long, we ain't got no choice but to stay up. Even in the pain, even you sacrifice that pain. You deal with that pain after the fourth quarter. Even though you sustain an injury in the third quarter, you got to understand that this is your time right now. This is all we got now. This is the final quarter. We got 10 more days in this fast. We got to finish it out. We got to do everything we do. We can see things are changing in our lives. Things are becoming clearer. Things are becoming wide open. You got to make the pass to that wide open receiver. You got to make sure if you're on defense, that receiver ain't wide open. He can score easily. It's all about what you are preparing for in this last quarter. In these final 10 days of the fast, those of you that's doing a fast for Lent. Shout out to those people that's doing Ramadan. This is the beginning for y'all, but for this video purposes only, for this live purposes only, we're talking about heading towards the first quarter. May Allah grant you the strength to get through what you need to get through your Ramadan season. For all of those that are fasting for Ramadan, right? We need y'all to start off well on that side. But as far as this video, we're ending the third quarter. What is the score? Are you up? Are you down? Or are you tied? Like I said, if you're tied, you got to do a little bit more. You got to make sure that your defense wins champion. I know the goal is to score all the time, but if you defend them well enough, defense is going to win the championship, right? If the score is tied and you get the ball at the end, you stop them from scoring. That's called defense. That's defense wins championships. I don't care if you can score them 170 points every game. If they score 172, guess what? You lost. You got to prepare yourself for this fourth quarter. They're going for the victory just like you're going for the victory. What is the victory for you? What are you trying to overcome in this final quarter? What are you trying to maintain in this fourth quarter? Are you trying to obtain peace? Are you trying to sustain your peace? Are you trying to sustain your joy? Are you sustaining your love, your compassion? What are you trying to sustain in this fast? What are you getting out of this fast? Whatever you getting out of this fast, it's now heading towards the fourth quarter. Now you gotta preserve it if you're winning. And if you're carrying that bag to the win, you got to do a little bit more because that means you're trailing. It can work out in your favor either way, win, lose, or well, if you're losing, you're trying to win. If you're winning, you're trying to maintain it. And if you're tied, you're trying to win as well. Now it's time for you to go by. You got to go in the locker room again. Not in the locker room. Yeah, you can go in the locker room, but you got to make sure that the chalkboard is out. Yo, we got to draw up this play. We got to draw it up. Listen, I see them doing this, that, and the third. They trying to keep the ball. They trying to play keep away from us. They got to be more aggressive, right? And if you got the ball, you got to be aggressive enough to where they're not strong enough to overcome your lead. You got to do the best that you can to keep your lead. You got to do more than your best. You got to have an internal strength that nobody has ever seen before. You got to go in your storehouse and pull that out. If you're behind that fall, it's still in you. Even in your storehouse, you got a victory coming out of you, even if you're down by 30 points in the last quarter. You just got to find it. We can't find it for you. Nobody here can find it. I can't find it for Watermelon. I can't find it for Bronze. I can't find it for Cheeky. I can't find it for Atmosphere. I can't find it for anybody who hears this. You got to look inside yourself. You got to know, like, yo, I got this. CC, good morning. You got to know what's inside of you to overcome this victory. It's in your storehouse. I promise you, everything that I've said to you is leading up to this point. Your gift is in you. Your secret weapon's in you. It's in the storehouse. They ain't got to see it. They ain't got to see it in order for you to win. You got to see it in order for you to win. You got to see yourself being victorious despite being down by 30 points if you're down by that much. You got to see yourself holding this lead if you're ahead of the game. You got to see it. You got to see yourself pacing yourself enough to win this race. It don't matter what everybody sees. It matters what you see. You are the victor. You are getting ready to win the race. You are the victor. You're not to be the victim. You should not be worried about the agony of defeat because you're not going to lose. Not in this one, not in this game, not in this quarter. This quarter, you're going to overcome everything so you can get to the finish line. You're going to overcome everything. When that gun goes off, the final score will be, that's the next live. The final score is, because if it's final, it's over. I don't want nobody to go into overtime. We're not going to play sudden death. We're going to win this in this fourth quarter. Yeah, you the workaholic, CC. I understand, but welcome. Yeah, but it's just you're gonna overcome. Listen, we're gonna put everything we got into this. No sudden death. We're not doing sudden death, and the tie is not a goal. We're gonna win this thing. A loss ain't even a goal. We're gonna win. We're gonna win this next quarter. We're gonna win this fast. We're gonna become what we need to become, because in the fourth quarter, I'm going to tell you what your results going to be, what it should be at the end of the fourth quarter. But right now, we got to fight. We got to fight. We got to preserve the lead. We got to overcome a deficit, and we're gonna take a short lead at the end of the fourth quarter. That means we're all going to win. Either we're going to win, we're going to preserve the win, we're going to overcome our tie, and we're definitely going to overcome our deficit. But it's up to you guys. It's up to me to overcome all of these things, because I'm in the battle with myself. I'm overcoming things myself. You know what I mean? Like yesterday was a terrible day for me. It was terrible, right? I was overcoming so much yesterday. It was crazy. But I had to understand, like, yo, what do you think those people would want for you to do? For me, it was simple. I lost my mom yesterday. Not yesterday, but yesterday was her death day, right? So I had to, it's okay to hold the ball a little bit. But now that quarter's over. It's that quarter's over for me. You can't do this and win the game, right? You got to make sure that you overcome that deficit. Right? You got to overcome the deficit. I think I've done pretty well as far as this fast. Now, there's some sluggish parts of the game? Of course there was. If it was that easy, everybody would be winning, right? But it's not as easy as everybody think it is. You know, it's easier said than done. That's a true statement. Because you can say it all you want. If you don't apply it and if it ain't working, you're going to have to come up with another plan. That's why this fourth quarter is important. That's why you need to understand, like, yo, this is the countdown now. Every basket counts. Every defensive stops count. And if we're losing, every stop counts and every possession counts. It may not feel that way when you're winning, but guess what? It counts then too. Because if you play around and just give the ball right back to these people, they may score. They may be on your tail. They may catch up. And then that person that's winning may have to go into overtime. How about that? It can happen to you too. So we got to understand where we at in this thing. We got to understand where we at in this fast. We got to understand where we at in this game. You got to understand that the final goal is to win, not to end up in a tie. Nobody wants to be 0-1. That means you still ain't win. We want to be 1-0, 1-0. We want to be victorious, not a victim to circumstances. We want to be victorious, not a casualty of war. Because guess what? There's a war going on inside of each and every one of us, whether we understand it or not. There's a fight going on in you. All of this to build up what you need to build up to go on in life. A lot of us are doing this to build a trinity in our life. Mind, body, and soul. We know there's a trinity in religion, but guess what? We are a church. We are the church. God has placed something in each and every one of us. Otherwise, we can't be having this conversation. You won't be alive. God has placed something in each and every one of us to overcome a deficit. God has placed something in each and every one of our lives to withhold this, to hold the lead. God has possessed something in our life to allow us to overcome the tie before the end of regulation. Because we're definitely not trying to go into overtime. You all can do it. You got to be strong enough to do it. You got to understand that, hey, I could overcome these things. I could win in spite of turning the ball over 7 times in a football game. I could overcome having 20 turnovers. It's what you do with the ball in the fourth quarter that counts. You can have 20 turnovers. If you don't turn that ball over in the fourth quarter, you can come back and still win the game. If you don't fumble the ball in the fourth quarter, you can still win that game. If you can force a fumble in that fourth quarter, you can possess the ball quicker and still overcome these deficits. You got to know that greatness is within you, each and every one of you that's going through this thing. Even if you're not going through a fast, it's still in you. I'm just telling you that you can overcome it. For me, it's personal because I am fasting. So I have to understand what the fourth quarter entails. It's going to entail something serious. It's going to entail something to make sure that, hey, somebody's going to stop you from winning. And somebody's going to hold their foot on your neck if you're down. You can believe that they're going to try it. You got to be strong enough to lift that foot up and overcome it. Break the yoke. That's what we need to do if we're down. Break the damn yoke. Stop sitting there waiting for something to come out the sky. Manna's not falling out of the sky for us. It's within us. God is within each and every one of us. We have to understand that we can overcome the deficit. We have to know this. We have to know that if God gave us the lead, we got to know that God wants us to maintain the lead. Do what you got to do, and no shortcuts, people. If anybody took a shortcut and you feel like you're going to win, you're going to lose after the game. I promise you, you're going to be stripped. So let's do this the way we're supposed to do this. Let's do this with the earnest expectation of winning clean. Run your race fair. Now, circumstances come up where, everybody falls out the race. That don't mean you stop right there. You finish it. It's not your fault that you become victorious. But victory is the goal. Not to be a victim of circumstances, not to feel the agony of defeat. We got to keep going, even if you're not in this fast, because a lot of people may not be fasting. And that too goes for my people that's going through Ramadan. It may be your fourth, it may be your very beginning, the first quarter of the thing, right? But you got to pace yourself in order to get to where we are at in this fast, in this quarter. Sometimes it's very easy to learn by watching, but some people got to experience the loss. I mean, experience this thing, not the loss. You got to experience the game for yourself. You're not always going to learn from somebody else's experience. Sometimes you got to go through it. If you are a follower of Christ, you can't just keep reading about what Christ did. Sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice for yourself. You're going to have to go through it. So now that we are going through it, or now that you're getting ready to go through it, you must prepare for that. I'm at the end of the third quarter. I must prepare for whatever's getting ready to come in front of me. I think I'm winning. Well, I know I'm winning. I ain't thinking nothing. I know I'm winning. Now I got to finish it. Like Mortal Kombat, finish them. They staggering, so they may try anything, right? They can't beat me, but I got to understand they're not going to stop until the final seconds are up, till that gun shoots and they say end quarter over. That's what I'm getting ready to, that's what I'm preparing for the fourth quarter. That's what we all need to prepare for in the fourth quarter. And like I said, for those of you that are feeling like you're losing, we just got to work a little bit more harder. We got to work harder than we did in the first three quarters. It's not over. The God in you is going to store, he going to put something in you and say, yo, we still going to overcome this deficit. Some people may call it a miracle. You'll just call it a victory. Because everybody don't got to see it to believe it. You got to see it to believe it. And if you ain't seeing it, you may quit. You may say enough is enough. Game over. And you're going to quit before that. But we are not quitters. We're going to see this thing through. We are going to keep our word. We're going to keep our guarantee that we're going to win this. We're going to fulfill this fast. We're going to keep our word that we're going to fulfill whatever it is that we are trying to fulfill in our life. If we're trying to be great, we're going to be great. Like I said in the halftime, I am is going to get you to the victory. Not I think. Not I thought. I am is going to get you there. Those are affirmation words. That means you are going to complete this. You're going to complete this comeback. LL said, don't call it a comeback. That was his song. That was his thing. You see, he's still standing. He's one of the few that's still standing. He overcame the test of time. That's a testimony that he can tell you. He overcame all of that. You can do the same. It's time for us to write our own legacy, not live off of somebody else's. It's time for us to say, yo, I can do everything that I need to do and still come out on top. I can overcome my deficits. I can overcome my shorts. I can overcome what has held me back all of this time, all of these years, all of these seasons. You could turn around and say, yo, I can love somebody and somebody's going to reciprocate it back to me. It won't be a one-way street. But you got to assert yourself in the next quarter. Because we all have quarters. We all have seasons. And while some people may feel like, hey, I'm only here for a season, try to go for the permanent win. Make sure that win does not never come off your permanent record. That's what we're doing this for a victory in our permanent record. And if this is our first time doing this, let's go out with a 1-0%. Let's go out with a 1-0 record, meaning we ain't never lost. Let's strive for that. But we got one more quarter to worry about that. We got one more quarter to complete that. We got one more quarter to fulfill your destiny in your life. You got one more quarter to become the greatest of all times in your life. Not to be average Joe. Nobody wants to be average Joe. We want to be great. We don't want to be like everybody else. We want to be unique. We are preparing ourselves to become victorious, and so people will have to rise to us because we're going to be the occasion to rise to. We could set an example of overcoming deficits in this fourth quarter. We could be in the history books that we overcame a deficit that nobody has ever overcame before in their life. And while I'm speaking that to you, I'm speaking that to myself, even though I'm not losing. I understand that the enemy is going to try to overcome a deficit in my life. He unheld that thing over my head. He unheld it over my head for too long. But guess what he going to have to do? He going to have to give it up. Because when that final gun goes off in the first quarter, I will win the game. The game will be over and I will be standing victorious. I will be a champion. I will be the victor, not the victim. Those of you that have been victimized, your victimization is over. It's time for you to become victorious. Those of you that's hiding behind your ailments of depression, those of you who are hiding behind the ailments of an assault, those of you that's hiding behind the fact that you have not been winning, you will overcome this in this fourth quarter. It doesn't matter what I believe. You got to believe it for yourself, just like I got to believe it for myself. If people are pouring into me and I don't believe it, I already lost because I don't believe it. You could mean the greatest of intent, but if I don't care what you're telling me, I already lost the race. I already lost the battle. I'm now the victim and not the victor. We are not doing victim Olympics. We are going to be victorious in the Olympics. We are going to get the gold medal because that's the highest of highs that we can get in the Olympics. That is our greatness. That is who we are. That's who we can become. But you got to overcome the deficits. Realist, good morning. You got to overcome the deficit. People are trying to hold you back. They're trying to hold the ball away from you so you don't score. You got to fight harder. Just like if you're winning, they're going to fight harder to get the ball back from you. I promise you that. Everything's going to come out in the fourth quarter. Haymakers going to be thrown because they understand they're losing. The only way they can win is by knocking you out. They can only knock, if they knock the greatness out of you in this fourth quarter coming, they will win. If you knock the greatness out of them, you will win. And if you supersede their greatness at that time point at the end of this third quarter, guess what? You win. The goal is about winning. That's the goal going into this fourth quarter. It ain't nothing else to talk about. We ain't going to sit there and talk about what happened in the first three quarters. That's behind us now. We either going to maintain this lead, we're going to overcome a deficit, or we're going to break the tie. But the goal is all the same. And there's an elevation if you put it that way. You over the deficit at the bottom, you're going to overcome the tie, and then you're going to maintain the victory. Those are steps. It's going to take you a thing to get to tie the game in the fourth quarter. It's going to take you another thing to overcome the tie in the fourth quarter. Excuse me. We got to make sure that if we're winning, we got to make sure they're out of energy. And if we're losing, we gotta stir up an energy that's in the storehouse that only we can stir up. Only you can stir it up. Only you could overcome that victory in your deficit in your life. The fourth quarter is getting ready to start. Now come out of the huddle. Let's break it. Yo, we're gonna win. 1, 2, 3, win. Let's go. We all going for the same goal. We're all trying to win this final quarter. We're all trying to overcome some of us are overcoming a deficit. Some of us are maintaining a lead. And some of us are trying to break the tie. But the goal is still the same. We're trying to win it one way or the other. We are going to win it one way or the other. There's nothing holding us back but ourselves. Realist could be great. Realist is great. He got to maintain it. Watermelon, she's great, but she got to maintain it. Cheeky, you great. Atmosphere, you great. Everybody that hears is that you are great. You got to maintain it if you're ahead. And if you're feeling down, you got to overcome the deficit. Go in your storehouse and find what you need to overcome the deficit. It's in there. It's like that product that used to come on TV. It's in there. Yes, it is. You got to believe it. I can believe whatever I want. You know what I mean? It's just time. It's time to break away from the nonsense. It's time to break away from the bullshit. Excuse my language. I'm passionate about this thing. I really mean this thing. We have to overcome this thing because a lot of us feel like we're behind the 8 ball. We got to overcome this. We still have time. It's the 4th quarter. Like I said, even in the first few, there was people jagging at us. There was people jabbing us rather. They're trying to steal the momentum. No, we can't allow that to happen in this 4th quarter. We need to overcome all of it. We need to overcome their attacks. We need to overcome their perseverance. We need to overcome all of that and still hold our head up at the end of the quarter. Even if you win by 2 points, 1 point, you're a victor. Even if you cross the line a half a second in the marathon, you're a winner. You got it. The goal is to cross that line. Number 1, gain your prize. Then we can celebrate. It ain't time to celebrate. There's still more time ahead of us if we're ahead of this game. We got to understand that there are going to be people after us, one way or the other. If y'all winning, you got to understand they're going to come back. Their backs are against the wall. It's like a puncher. He's going to do whatever he can to knock you out because he has no choice. He's trying to knock you out to win the fight. He can't win on points alone. If that's the analogy I have for you to see, I'm going to use it so you can understand what I'm telling y'all. They're going to throw haymakers because they understand they are trying to win the fight. They're going to, if in the NBA, if they're down 30 points, they're going to shoot more threes than 2. They may go for a couple of layups, but you better believe they're trying to get them 30 points back and still have time on the clock. Your job is, if you're winning, you defend the line. Hold the line. This is why I say everything that I put out here is going to have meaning in your life. You got to learn how to hold the line. You got to learn how to defend your court. You're going to have to learn how to leave your baggage behind because that's the only way we can get to the victory. If we do all of those things. I know there's people up here that, not here in general, but on YouTube, they're just here to talk. They're just here to get likes and views. What they call that, clout chasing? That's what that is? No, I want to see everybody win. Even if it sounds impossible, I'd rather go for the impossible than the improbable. There's a difference to it. I want everybody to win. Whether it's with me or without me, y'all can win. Whether it's me telling you, the word telling you, real is telling you, atmosphere, whoever. You got to know you can win this thing. At the end of the day, the battle is not ours. It's not ours to fight your battle. We can encourage you. We can be on the sideline to encourage you, but you got to want it. You got to want it more than anybody else. That's what makes you the victor. The victor, not the victim. You got to want this thing. I can't want it for you, and you can't want it for me. I got to fight for myself just like you got to fight for yourself. So you got to understand what's at stake going into this 4th quarter. You got to know what's really getting ready to happen. If you're down, you got to fight like never before. If you're up, you're going to be blitzed. And if you're tired, you may see something that may be unexpected. But you got to overcome that with your own unexpected plays. But it's not up to us. It's not up to the fans to win this. You gotta be strategic. You got to make the plan come to action. You got to make it work. You got to execute the action. whether it's a play, a call play, or a botch play. You better make sure it works in your favor. Don't botch the ball and let them get the ball back and start winning, because you're gonna be under pressure. That's why you got to hold your lead. We are losing. We're already under pressure. That's why we're going hard every play. We're going to try to get a turnover every time we on the field. If we're running, we're going to run like a cheetah. We're going to have to call the gods of energy or something to give us the speed to overcome that deficit if we're running the race. But it's not up to me, guys. It's each and every one of our own battles. We got to do the best that we can to overcome. We got to do the best that we can to maintain. We gotta pull it out. We got to become victors and not victims. So as we go into this fourth quarter, we got to be ready. Be ye ready. I want to come back at the end of the fourth quarter with a victory song. I want to see my colors come out of the rafters. I want to see my colors come out of the cannon as the confetti falls on the field or the racetrack. They got it. It's already prepared for us. We either going to win or we're not. I'd rather see because I damn sure ain't going to sit there and watch them go through a parade. Not on my watch. I have to fight too. I have to maintain my lead because I'm winning. If you're winning, you got to do the same. And that's all I can really that's the game plan, to maintain the lead for me. I don't know what you guys are going through. There's somebody that may be struggling during this whole entire thing. You gotta map it out to where, I got one quarter and I'm gonna win this quarter and I'm gonna win this game. Or I'm gonna overcome the 20 mile lead or the 20 pace lead. You gotta do it. It's a 2-man race. Either you're gonna win or you're not gonna win. You got to decide for yourself what it's going to be. And if you feel like you're losing, stir up your gift, because there's a gift inside of you to overcome any and all deficits. I promise you that. But it's up to you to find it. I believe I found mine early, and I believe I can maintain mine. I'm not saying this to be braggadocious. I'm not saying that for no other reason but to say I use mine early, and because I think I can maintain mine. If you feel like you're behind, it's time for you to pull it out. We're going to pull out this victory. Every one of us is going to win this fourth quarter, and we're going to be victorious. We're going to be the champs that we need to be. We are going to become our greater selves after this first quarter. And I promise you, after this fourth quarter, I will tell you what I've gained from mine. That will be my testimony for you guys. It's going to be something to where you might say, we already knew you had it. But until I know that I can see it, I know what I have. And that's for a lot of other people. A lot of people, we can see things in people that they can't see in themselves. But after that fourth quarter, they should be able to see it, because they will be victorious over this whole circumstance, over this whole scenario, over the whole game. This is your fourth quarter. This is your Super Bowl. This is your NBA Finals. This is your World Series. This is your New York City Marathon, or whatever marathon is great to you, or whatever city you in. This is your marathon to complete. We're at the final leg. We're at the final quarter. We're at the end. We're getting ready to start it. Let's be great and win this quarter so we can win it all. So those, I believe in each and every one of you that's here. I believe in each and every one of you that may catch the replay. But it doesn't matter what I believe. Just like a lot of you may believe in me, and I may not believe in myself. If that's the case, I gotta believe that I can win. I gotta know that I can win. Just like I want you guys to know that you can overcome whatever deficit is holding you back from your victory. Because when you overcome it, not if, when you overcome it, there will be a burden off your shoulder. There will be a victory in front of you, and you will be able to obtain that victory. So, guys, this is this is all that I have for this live, this third quarter. If it was a pep talk, may it hit you and may it guide you into your victory. So, with that being said, I thank all of y'all for taking the time to hear me out. I thank you guys for allowing me to have this conversation with you guys. I believe you guys can win, but it's up to you. Just like you may believe that I can win, and it's going to be up to me. So let's break this huddle. Let's go on out there and let's be the greatest us in this fourth quarter so we can win. That's all I got for you guys. May you have a great day, and I'll see y'all in 10 more days. Hopefully, we'll all be holding the victory belt. We'll all hold our trophies. We're not looking for participation awards. We're looking for the victory. So with that being said, y'all have a good one. Hopefully I'm still around within the next 10 days if something happens. You know what I mean? You guys be easy. I'm out.